focus of conversation today is on SMMEs, small, medium-sized enterprises. And as you may know, that this really is where all the action is in terms of creating jobs. And something in the order of 60+% of the new jobs that are going to be created are going to be coming from this particular sector. But the challenge that we also have with these small businesses is that the failure rate is also extremely high, and that comes taking jobs away. So today we're here to have a conversation about if you want to set up a business, what do you need to do? Where do you need to go? Where is the help? And do we have enough policies in place and enabling factors in place to make business successful? We do know the statistics, and the statistics are suggesting something is going wrong from the moment that the businesses are set up to 4 or 5 years later, when a lot of these businesses are disappearing. We need to stop that. And we have a distinguished panel that is going to be talking to us from both sides of the equation to give us some advice and field your questions today on this very important thing. So if you've got business on your mind, this is a conversation that you don't want to miss out on. Very, very important. And today's your opportunity to get some expert advice on navigating your way through some of the opportunities and some of the legislation. And perhaps we might even be able to encourage new policies as well, just to get this sector going. All right, so we've got a panel of 4, but before we meet all of them, there's one person I'd like to introduce just to perhaps set the tone for this conversation this morning. He is himself an entrepreneur of note, and at the moment works very hard as a resident executive at the Wits Business School. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Tami Mazwai.
Thanks very much, Peter. And I must say to everybody, it is really a pleasure to be here this morning to really deal with a subject that would mean a lot for our future as a country. But fortunately, I mean, there has been a very dramatic movements in the past few months where the country is becoming much more small business orientated. You get that from the speeches of ministers, public figures, and so on. And I think that what is also very heartening is that there is now a focus on township economies, a process that we started at a few years ago when we had the conferences on small business on township economies. So there is now a focus on townships, and indeed there's even a focus in the rural areas where the SABC is busy with a project to really fast-track skills development and enterprise development within those communities. And these communities are in desperate need of such intervention. So the SABC is leading the pack in terms of that. But this is not surprising because small business, when you look at worldwide, is really the base of the economy. It is the engine. When you look at the developed world, when we talk of the United States, we always talk of IBM, the big oracles, the big companies there. But we seem to forget that 70% of American companies in the US employ 2 to 10 people, 70%. When you go to Europe, you find that the small business community is about 95% of the economy in whatever country in Europe that you are talking of. If you are talking of Japan, again, it's small business that is driving those economies, Malaysia, and so on. So the trend in South Africa is very heartening because we're doing what the rest of the world is doing. But what one must add is that South Africa, I mean, has had top of the shelf support structures for small business, whether at national level, provincial level, and even at the city level to some limited extent. I mean, you've got CEDA, which is doing fantastic work, and then you've got the provincial agencies, GAP, so somebody from GAP will be talking here. But the problem with us South Africans is that the return on investment has not been what it should be. Yes, we have the institutions, but are we getting the appropriate return on investment? And that is the challenge that is facing us. There are a lot of reasons for that, and the main reason is that a small business is driven by a partnership between four players: government, the private sector, organized business, and the university, and the universities. Now, if these four do not work in sync, you won't get the results that you want. It's worse because you even find that government departments also do not work in sync. There's no cohesion. You find that each one is doing this on small business, the other one is doing this on small business. There's no coming together. But fortunately, that is now gradually happening if you look at what's been happening between the Economic Development Department, the DTI, Treasury, and one or two other departments. So there is what I would call a positive move towards being much more professional in developing small business. But of course, the other problem that we have is that South Africa's mindset is not small business orientated. When, as South Africans, we talk economy, we always talk Anglo-American. We've not yet developed to an extent like in Asia, where when people talk economy, they talk about the ordinary people, about people in the ordinary business of life, the small businesses, and so on. So we need to get there. I recall a discussion I had with a lawyer, and I said that, well, he's running a small business, his firm is a small business, you know. And the look he gave me showed me that I've said the wrong thing. And if I'm not careful, this guy is going to assault me. How dare I call him a small business? And then he kept on saying, but Atami, I'm a professional man, not small business. So that is the type of attitude that you have where people believe that when you say small business, you are insulting them and so on. So that has been the problem that we have as a country. So the small businesses in our country have not received the support that they should be getting because we believe in that. And the situation is very grim because you have the latest research that was done by the TTI 2 years ago showed that there are about 5 million small businesses throughout the country. But 80% of these have got turnovers of less than 200,000 rand per annum. Now, after you look at turnover, 200,000 rand per annum, you are looking at people who have got a turnover of about 15,000 rand per month. 40% of these have got turnovers of less than 30,000 rand per annum. 40%, 30,000 rand per annum, which means that per month, you are having people with a turnover of about 1,000 rand per month. Now, how do you expect those people, to survive? And that is the challenge that is facing our country. So the last point I would like to make is that, that it's quite exciting to hear government talk of job creation strategies. But I believe that government now has got to talk of enterprise development strategies because jobs are an outcome of enterprise development. They just don't happen on their own. So, but if the government could take the lead in enterprise development and say that in its thinking, and rather instead of talking of job creation, they must talk of enterprise development, then the penny will drop with the rest of South Africans that starting your own business is the right thing to do. Thank you very much. I believe that with those few words, we are now going to have a very exciting discussion. Thank you very much.
Dr. Mazwai, thank you very much indeed. All right, so that's where we're going to leave it for the time being. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll start to unpack some of those comments that Dr. Mazwai planted in our minds in terms of seeds, and I'll introduce the rest of the panel to you as well. Don't forget, you two at home have an opportunity to ask questions in real time and get answers straight away on this burning issue of small, medium-sized enterprises, how we can enable them, because that's where all the jobs and the economy is going to grow from. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this.